Welcome to SUAANGAN. I'm your host, Robert Kaptana. The Inuvialuit and Gwich'in have been negotiating self-government in our region and have reached an important milestone, the signing of the agreement in principle.
There were some important dates leading up to the signing of the agreement in principle. We'll give you a quick breakdown of the chronology of events. In 1984, the Inuvialuit in Canada signed the first land claim agreement in the Northwest Territories. The agreement contains provisions stating that where restructuring of the public institutions of government is considered for the Western Arctic region, the Inuvialuit shall not be treated less favorably than other Aboriginal groups with respect to the governmental powers and authority conferred on them. The Gwich'in land claim is negotiated, containing a self-government framework agreement. In 1992, Gwich'in, Government of the Northwest Territories, and Canada signed the Gwich'in Comprehensive Land Claim Agreement, containing a self-government framework agreement for the negotiation of a self-government agreement. In 1993, the Inuvialuit Regional Corporation, IRC, and the Gwich'in Tribal Council, GTC, decided to work together on self-government and submitted a joint proposal for regional public government for the Beaufort Delta region of the Western NWT. The joint proposal was approved by the mayors in the region. In 1995, the Government of Canada introduces the inherent right of self-government policy. In 1996, the Beaufort Delta Process and Schedule Agreement regarding self-government is negotiated and signed. The AIP is negotiated over the next 5 years. In 2001, the Beaufort Delta AIP is initialed in October by negotiators for the Inuvialuit, the Gwich'in, the Government of the Northwest Territories, and the Government of Canada. After years of tireless work, the negotiators were satisfied with the content of the agreement in principle document. It was initialed in October 2001 by the negotiators before being submitted to the territorial and federal cabinets and the leadership of the Inuvialuit and Gwich'in for approval. The ceremony began with a procession of flags by elders and youth and the entrance of the dignitaries. Partners All, Ruby McLeod's dance group, went up onto the stage to pick up the signatories for a jig to get the signing ceremony started off on the right foot.
First of all, it's an honor to co-host the signing ceremony of the Gwich'in and Inuvialuit Self-Government Agreement in Principle for the Beaufort Delta region.
Reflect on the names of elders who have passed on and who are no longer with us, and who started this process years and years ago.
Welcome this afternoon. Today marks a very important day for the people of the Beaufort Delta for the signing of the agreement in principle. It will set out our direct participation in a public government and establishing a working relationship between all governments and people. This hasn't been easy, so I should really congratulate the negotiators from all three parties. They worked long and hard and had some setbacks along the way, but today you can be proud that you've reached this milestone. And those are Chief Negotiator Bob Simpson, Lawrence Norbert, Gwich'in Negotiator, Vince Teddy, Inuvialuit Negotiator, Tracy Campbell, Governor of Northwest Territories Negotiator, and Daniel Charbonneau, Federal Negotiator. These people work tirelessly, month after month, day after day, trying to reach this stage for a number of years. The step we're taking today is the first step in a long journey. Self-government, the reality of self-government is still a long way down the road. We as Aboriginal people and all Northerners, one of the first lessons we have to learn to make this work and make it a reality is that we're going to learn to work together. And as self-government moves forward, we have to put our petty jealousies aside. We have trouble working within our own organizations. Let's be straight out about it. We are having trouble working within our own organizations. Just think, we have to work with other organizations when self-government's a reality. So let us prepare now to learn to work with one another in our communities and learn to work with our neighbors. My mind goes back to the days when I was a child in a claving. The Inuvialuit, the Gwich'in, and what we call the white people, we called them the white trappers back then. They all shared the land in harmony, and they got along with one another very well. Why? Because in those days, they needed one another and they depended on one another. And today, my message to you is that you need one another today just as much as you needed one another back then. Yes, it's a great day. And I'm happy for all of us, all Northerners. But there is a long journey ahead, and we're going to have to take this journey hand in hand, and we're going to have a desire to work together and make this happen. And again, I say we got to put our narrow minds aside and have a broad mind and develop a desire to join hands and work together. And ladies and gentlemen, I know we can do it. Thank you.
To the negotiators and particularly the field workers, I know how difficult your job has been, and I know sometimes people really don't want to take the time and talk about it and want to leave it up to the leaders to make these decisions. But I'm a firm believer that because of our particular population, we have to be able to reach each and every individual, even though it is difficult and it does take time. And sometimes it takes the ability of the field workers and negotiators to persuade the individual people that they really are important to this process and that we really need their time. So I want to thank all you individuals. I want to reflect on Chief Johnny Charlie. I know Jane is here today, and she was at my office one time not too long ago, and she says, I'm going to take this skidoo and I'm going to make that trek over to Oak Road, just like my husband. And I'm going to do it myself. So she sewed and put things together so she could raise money and buy a new skidoo to go. And I know that Johnny would want that for her, and she made it well, and see she's right back here, and congratulations, Jane. I also want to recognize Annie Goose, whose husband Bill Goose was always a member of our negotiating team. And Annie has continued working with the organization and now works with people in her community and has always been dedicated to the cause of moving people forward. She's a very wonderful person. Her husband was a wonderful man. And it's difficult, I know, to be alone, but at the same time, they continue to carry the flag of the Gwich'in and the Inuvialuit. I think on behalf of all the people, I want to thank both of you. And what we signed today is a big responsibility, and the accountability that goes with it sometimes is awe. You look at it in awe. This is a responsibility we have to take forward. This is a document that we are signing on behalf of our people. And we have to make sure that what we do is reflective of a good future for all of us. I've been told that, that the concepts are difficult to understand. Individual people say, well, I just don't quite understand. But I wonder if in southern Canada or in other places, if they did the work like our people have done, door to door, individual to individual, countless community consultations. I wonder where else in this world that happens. And sometimes the work gets undaunting, difficult. But it's because people are strong, because people believe. Young people who are here today in jobs and carrying out functions, the roots are from here. And those roots are strong. And those roots will make sure that whatever we do and the accountabilities we take in signing this document today are the right ones. If not, I'm sure we'll hear from you. And I think that's very important that at times, we don't agree. But I often wonder why. If you have a major debate in southern Canada, someone will say, hey, that's a great debate. But when we have a little disagreement or a conflict among Aboriginal people, oh, well, they're fighting. Debate is good. Different opinions are good, because in the end, if we're honest with each other and believe in each other, then we're able to be honest and tell each other what we think. And we need that involvement. So I want to thank the people who do the work. I want to thank the individuals who take the time to be involved. And thank you very much for being here.
It's always a pleasure to be back in the Beaufort Delta region. This seems to be the only place I get to practice my dancing. Last time I was here, I was dancing on the stage, and again today I had an opportunity to practice my jig. I hope you think I'm improving from the last time I was here, but it is a pleasure, and today we are signing an agreement in principle for the first standalone self-government agreement in the Northwest Territories. First, I want to congratulate the Inuvialuit people, the Gwich'in, and all the residents of the Beaufort Delta region. I know we are here today only because of the commitment, hard work, and late nights on both sides of the table. This agreement shows to Canada and the rest of the world that Aboriginal communities can choose paths towards governance that reflect their unique circumstances.
which will preserve and enhance culture and language as we navigate the changing landscape together. This work has resulted in a vision of governance for the Beaufort Delta region that embraces all its residents, Gwich'in, Inuvialuit, and non-Aboriginal people. This governance model is the first of its kind. It includes Aboriginal governments as well as public governments to represent both the Aboriginal and non-Aboriginal residents. The self-government arrangements that have been negotiated in the context of public government will provide for community and regional decision-making over a full range of matters, including decisions affecting children and youth, education, culture, health, and other social services. But these are more than powers in the political sense. They represent a return to the Gwich'in and Inuvialuit tradition of self-reliance. I think that's the important matter that Fred and others were referring to when they were talking about not being afraid and moving forward. The land claims agreements we have already signed together with self-government will continue to build a strong Beaufort Delta region and will benefit the development of the Northwest Territories as a whole. I think it's fair to say that what Nellie Cournoyea is saying is that a lot of people in other parts of Canada might not understand the model. But quite frankly, that's irrelevant as long as it works here in the territory and works for the people that it is intended to represent. When we consider these positive achievements, along with the exciting resurgence in resource developments in the region and the partnerships they offer, we can be very confident about the future of the Beaufort Delta. I'm here on behalf of the Government of Canada to celebrate this achievement and look forward to coming back to signing the final agreement very soon. Once again, I want to thank you, the community members, the leaders and the negotiators from all sides of the table for the work and dedication you've contributed to bring us to this day.
And this region, the Gwich'in, the people of the Beaufort Delta, the Inuvialuit, have shown so many times how it should be done. There's no doubt that the agreement in principle and self-government is just a beginning, but there are historic moments that we need to celebrate before we move on, and this is one of them. And I hope that all of us will continue to recognize the incredible strength that we have in being different. It's the capacity and the will to work together that is going to mark us as successful people in the future. That is what I think Nellie's talking about, that's what Freddie Carmichael's talking about, and that's what every one of your leaders know is going to make a difference. And I am very glad to be here today to celebrate it.
Today marks a significant milestone on our path in reaching a final self-government agreement. I know that everyone here today will agree with me that this is very exciting for the Northwest Territories as well as Canada, as it is the first time such an agreement has been signed. It is indeed very impressive. Such an agreement builds on an important foundation, partnerships, which is critical in implementing an agreement that will meet the needs and respect all parties involved. This self-government agreement is not an exclusive club. This is for all Gwich'in and all Inuvialuit. This is indeed yours, each and every one of you. Just as important, the results of the final agreement will enhance the ability for the Gwich'in and Inuvialuit to fortify their economies and governing structures and enrich their culture and language while continuing to benefit all residents in the Beaufort Delta. This indeed makes so real what has always been. The Inuvialuit and Gwich'in people have always been a self-determining and self-governing peoples. While there is so much work to be done to ensure that self-government agreements are in place, you are to be commended on your hard work and dedication thus far. As the Premier indicated, you are trend-setting for so many others who have similar aspirations. Some of those very same people are here today who are working on self-government in other regions. While there is still much work to be done to ensure that self-government agreements are in place, I would like to say this. This moment signifies so much of who the Gwich'in and Inuvialuit are, how they have lived and indeed thrived and managed on their lands for so many centuries, meeting different phases of their history and all the changes with such endurance and steadfast determination. This is a culmination of who you are as a people, a success story of monumental proportion. And I say you did it because of your hard work, and you did it because of your commitment to your people. Thank you.
Now is the time. They say the pen is mightier than the sword. Honored signatories to the Gwich'in and Inuvialuit Self-Government Agreement in Principle, arm your pens.
That was our program for this week. Thank you for watching SUAANGAN. I'm your host, Robert Captana. We'll see you again next week.
No celebration would be complete without some drum dancing.